dwarf ring. And then for completion, this is Pandora, the outer shepherd. Both of these moons acting together keep the ring narrow. And there are other notable places in the rings where embedded moons are leaving their mark in rather intriguing ways. Again, this is a Saturn orbit insertion maneuver picture, outer edge of the A-ring. This is a gap called the Encke gap. And we had seen with Voyager that there were ringlets in this gap, and we knew then that there had to be a moon in it. We found it later with Voyager, and here we imaged it for the first time with Cassini. There's Pan, the dominator of this gap, and the manner in which a moon like Pan, in a gap, opening a gap and maintaining a gap in a disk of material, like Saturn's rings, is going to prove very fruitful to those who study the formation of planets and in trying to understand, for example, how a planet like Jupiter, growing out of the solar nebula by accreting material and growing larger and larger, finally comes to truncate its own growth by opening up a gap in the ring. So there's, as I said, a lot of dynamical relationships that we will come to understand from studying Saturn's rings that will be applicable to greater systems of greater size. This is the Keeler gap, and one of our, here's the Encke gap again, and this is Pan. I just described what Pan does for you, to you, and here is what it does to the inner edge of the gap in which it sits. This is a picture that I think kills at 1,000 paces. It was just a beautiful surprise during the Saturn orbit insertion maneuver. And then here in the Keeler gap, we found a little moon doing the same thing, keeping a gap open and also creating waves. Well, speaking of moons, Saturn has a whole collection of them. There's now 47 in total. And Cassini is meant to investigate the moons that are in the inner satellite system. They extend only to about a few million kilometers away from the planet. And insofar as they are all orbiting in a plane around Saturn, and insofar as they reflect in ways we have yet to determine the conditions in the nebula around Saturn out of which they form, they are like a miniature solar system. So we're not only going to be interested in the geological histories of these bodies and in their physical characteristics like their densities and masses and so on, but we are hoping to study the system as a whole to gain greater insight into the planetary formation process. Cassini will, as I said, enjoy something like 82 satellite flybys. 45 of those are of Titan, because Titan, the largest moon, is the gravity assist body by which we maneuver the orientation of the spacecraft in flying close to it. But there will be, out of those 82 flybys, there has already been a handful of exquisitely close flybys where we fly over the surface of the moon, even closer